One of the things we're going to be doing today is shooting with a helmet on. You're watching Roscoe Gadsden's online high-capacity gun magazine.
3.5 pounds. Kind of depending on how you do it. 3 pounds.
3 pounds. In the U.S., we would never put a patrol rifle out on the street with a 3-pound trigger pull, even though it's kind of a long one. Still, that's awfully light. It's long, but it's light. If you were passing these out like candy, quote unquote, to civilians in kind of an emergency situation, that 3-pound trigger pull, I think, is not ideal under almost any conditions with almost any users. If I was passing these out like candy to civilians and they were select fire guns, I would have everybody take their top cover off, remove their selector, like so, and you can see on this one, being as how it is already a semi-auto gun, give a little contrast here. You see this little hangy down here, but blocks the trigger when the safety is engaged. On the full auto version, this will have a wider profile so that in the full auto setting, it cams the disconnector out of play. On the AK, the auto sear, which this one doesn't have, the auto sear is in play all the time, even in semi-auto. So a quick conversion to semi-auto would be to do that little modification to the selector before you pass them out like candy. And then I would suggest get them all back someday soon, hopefully. And at that point, I would go inside. I would grind the tail off of the disconnector. I would remove the auto sear, and I would give it back to said civilian with 5 magazines and 450 rounds of ammo, and I would say, keep it ready. Keep it ready. And I think I would require a certain amount of training. If you want to have one of these to keep ready, I would say come back and see us twice a month for 3 months. After that, you can come see us every 3 months, but we want you to stay familiar with the gun. We want you to be able to make hits. We want it semi-auto, not because civilians shouldn't have machine guns, but it makes it so much more effective, especially at distance. It prevents accidentally putting the selector to full auto, which is part way down, and just generally promotes accuracy. So on a full auto gun, you would have safe, full auto, and semi. And my point would be, my opinion is that for civilian or even military issue, honestly, I think it's a more effective weapon if it's semi-auto only. Even at 500 yards, this thing can do something. In semi-auto, you can make it awfully dangerous for whoever's out there at 500 yards. Let's talk about a couple of safety issues on these things. We have an AK47 here, AK74 here. Both, you might notice, they've been modified to where the safety will hook the bolt for lockback. It doesn't lock back on the last shot, but just as an administrative thing, a safety issue, a cleaning convenience, they've been modified for that. But the issue of the moment is, let's take the 5.56 out of the picture for now. So this one's a 30 caliber. This one is a 5.45. Need my 5.45 round. The AK-47 in 30 caliber, AK-74 in 5.45 caliber. So let's call this 7.62 and 5.45. What about those situations where you have both calibers and both styles of guns floating around on the same battlefield, which that's happening right now? I'm seeing these and these in the same news clip fairly frequently. What if we mix up the magazines? Let's give it a try. So here's the 74 magazine, here's the 47 magazine, and let's take one of these and try and put it in here. What's going to happen? Well, for one thing, my bolt dropped. So I bet I could force that in there, but I'm not gonna. It puts up a fight. Doesn't want to go in there. I can't get it. Even using all my leverage here, I can't get it to go in. Well, that's good. So let's lock this back again here. Okay, let's put the 30 cal mag, the 7.62 mag rather, into the little feller here, and it won't even start. It's wider right here. It won't even start. So no issue there. I would say that's a good thing. You can get your magazines mixed up, but you'll soon find out that there's an issue. Okay, what about, let's take a handful of 545s here and see if we can load them into a 7.62 magazine. Well, okay, it's going. It doesn't feel right, but you know, when you're handing these guns out like candy to people that never had any experience with them before, they might not know what feels right. I'm getting them in there, and they're kind of like, it feels like they want to come out. So there we have 545 loaded into a 7.62 magazine. What happens next? This is not pretty. We know the magazine goes in. And well, that's probably a good thing. What happened there? That top round kind of went crazy. Oops, AK finger. Well, the question: can we chamber that round? Yeah. Can we fire that round? Probably. Let's see here. I'm not going to do it. It feels like it's head spaced close enough that it might fire. So I'm going to get that out of there. It's not wedged in. Okay, so we have a clear chamber again. I'm going to lock the bolt to the rear because I just kind of like that in general. Now, how about this other switcheroo? 545 magazine, 7.62 round. Got good news there. I can't even load it in the magazine. Let's see, maybe I can go this way. Yeah, I can do that. Let's see what happens. I'm thinking it might not feed. It does. So this leads us to the next thing. What if we, independent of the magazine, let's take the magazine out, independent of the magazine, what if we somehow manage to get that 30 caliber round in our 5.45 gun, and then what's the next thing? Crap, it doesn't go. Let it rip. Hammer it in. No, no good. And it wouldn't fire with it being so far out of battery. Let's see if we can get that out now. Yeah, I think we can. It's in there pretty hard. So the lesson here is, if something doesn't go, don't force it. And I might not get that out on camera. Yeah, that's pretty bad. So don't do that. Okay. What if we? Well, we've already chambered. Here's these rounds are literally falling out of these magazines, but I can just see that happening. Falling out. 5.45s in the 7.62 magazine. We already saw that if we should somehow inadvertently get a 5.45 in there, it just drops right in. It looks to me like it doesn't really even headspace. Let's drop the bolt on it. Yeah, that one actually extracted. I don't think we should expect that. Now, you're lucky if you can extract it, but it falls right out. What if we did fire that? I'm gonna say, I'm not gonna try it. I often like to try things like that. I'm not gonna try that because the guy that owns these guns might not like that. So what would happen? I think it might fire. It wouldn't blow anything up. I don't believe it would injure the shooter or damage the gun. That 5.45 bullet would go bouncing down the barrel and out. But the case would expand to the point that it might crack, it might even separate, and leave some chunks in the barrel, leave some chunks in the chamber, so that if you then chambered the right caliber ammo, the 7.62, it might not chamber, and if it did, there might be a barrel obstruction. So let's not do that. Alright, I got this round out. This was the 7.62 that was stuck in the 5.45. It took a couple of screwdrivers and a little bit of time, so don't do that. I'm not even talking about 5.56 here. I think I've seen some 5.56 AKs over there. I know we're seeing plenty of AR-15s. It's a whole another issue. I'll make one comment about getting a 5.45 stuck in a 5.56 chamber. For a long time I said it couldn't be done because I mean, you were safe both ways because the 5.56 is longer, obviously. If you chamber that in a 5.45, let's do that right now. Now, I've already done it with that particular round. It's a little bit deformed. You know, there's no way you're going to get that in there. It's close enough that it will extract and eject. So that's no issue. And I said at one time, I was pretty adamant about it, that you also don't need to worry about getting a 5.45 in a 5.56 chamber because they're larger in diameter. And I said it might get wedged a little bit, but nothing you can't get out with a screwdriver. Well, shortly after that, somebody brought this into my shop. Now this is an AR-15 where they accidentally loaded a 5.45 into it and it wouldn't go. They pulled back on the charging handle and just tried hammering it in and hammering it in and hammering it in. In the end, they took a cleaning rod, tried to hammer it out from the muzzle. That's a whole nother story, but I think that's tremendously dangerous. Anytime you have live rounds in one place and a hammer banging on them in the other, that's a recipe for disaster. But a story for another time. Gun blew up, killed somebody. I'll get back to that. Okay, the safety selectors on these things are famous for being hard to manage. Let's take the AK-47 here, and I'm just going to drop the bolt. And I think I'll take the top cover off and the spring so I can get the selector out. And you can probably see right in here that this gun at one time had several wraps of monofilament around the selector. I think I'm catching that. Right here. You can see a bunch of lines going this way. Anyway, the purpose of that, the reason people do that sometimes is because the detent on the safety is simply the fact that the safety is kind of biased in or bent in a little bit. And then we have these notches here and here. And there's a little bump out on the selector. Get the light right here. That bump goes into those notches and becomes your detent. So it stays there. You put it up here, it stays there. The issue with that is it makes the safety kind of hard to operate. And what I see people struggle with a lot of times is they want to take the safety off, right? So they're pushing, they're not only pushing down on it, they're pushing in on it. Well, that's just locking it in harder to the detents. So I'm actually pushing about as hard as I can there. And if I'm exerting any pressure inward, I'm just making the detent more effective. So the key is you need to go straight down. Then it's pretty easy. Straight down, straight up. Most of these, not everybody, but some people will have enough finger strength to operate with one hand, and you're pivoting here. You don't have to take your hand off. So you're pivoting here and down and up and down. Bang, 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 up. Uh-oh. Contact. Down. Bang, 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 bang. Up. This one works. I don't know, for me it works fairly easy. But let's look at a couple of other options other than the monofilament line and the rivet. Let's try a big red tie wrap. I've never done this before today, and I found that, hey, it was not such a bad way to go. Let's see here. It flexes the selector, the safety out a little bit, so the detents are a little easier to live with. And let me get it in the sweet spot here. Get my clippers out of my ankle holster. Clip that off. And now, not only is it easier to manipulate, I have a little extendo on it here. And so, pretty darn easy. Trigger finger. I mean, at some point, you would have it so undetented that it would be flippy floppy, and yeah, that would be a whole nother kind of unsafe. But that right there is not too bad. So, contact. Bang, 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 bang. Safe. Bang, bang, bang. Safe. A person could also simply take the selector out and bend it out a little bit. That gets kind of dicey because you're going to bend it too far, and then you're going to have to bend it back in. You're going to bend it back in too far, then you're going to have to bend it back out, and might rather experiment around with something like that right there. One of the things we're going to be doing today is shooting with a helmet on. I don't think either one of us has done that before, right? Now, I was talking about that muzzle brake earlier on the AK74. This one here is something a little different. I am kind of a fan of the Noveske KX3 because it takes the report of the rifle and sends it down range via a megaphone. Now, this is not a KX3. This is somebody else's KX3-like product. I think it's from PRI. I'll check that and put it in the text. We just did a little testing between this one and the standard AK74. I went about a quarter of a mile away laterally, and Rod fired a few shots with each, back and forth alternating. This thing, from that aspect, from that point of view, was very noticeably quieter. Now, out in front, if you were, you know, a couple hundred yards downrange or a quarter mile downrange, I'm thinking this one might be quieter. We'll have to experiment with that too. Okay, we're going to do a little comparative timing on the safety manipulation here. We've got the red tie wrap on this one. Makes it a little easier to manipulate. So, on the buzz. Good move. Okay, that was 2.23. That's good. 1.95. Not really hurrying, just trying to make the hits. That was a hit. And that was 1.91. And one more. Good. 2.23 again. Okay, we're going to switch guns. So we're going to do that again on the gun with no red tie wrap. Well, it has one here, but that's meaningless. And are you ready?
Yep.
Ouch. 2.15, that empty hit me right in the tip of the finger. Ready? .24 and ready. 2.38. Are you feeling slower?
A little bit.
Yeah. And ready. Okay. .50. Ready? .05. Ready?
Okay. That's okay. I mean, the way we do it, that's okay. If you're not in a big race to put the safety back on right away, if that's not the priority, because maybe that shouldn't be the priority. Maybe the priority should be scanning. You're scanning to see if there's somebody else out there, and if there is, maybe you should have the safety off. .69. 2.47, probably only a couple more. Check your ammo. Empty?
Empty.
Okay.
One left.
Okay. That's too bad. I was hoping it would be a surprise. 2.19. Okay, we're going to have Rod. Go ahead, Rod. Get prone. And let her rip. We're going to do a little warm up here. That's a hit. 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 The rule is safety goes on between positions. Hit. Hit. Great. I'm on. Man, I think I hear a clang. Go ahead. No, that was off. I saw the dust. Hold on. Let me take these off. I'm on. Nothing.
Left edge, or right edge.
Nothing.
My beat up, rusted out 1918 late World War I production Austrian rifle. Or
Yeah.
Hungarian rifle can do better than that.
Yeah, you only have that much sight radius on those things. I think they can do better too, but one thing is we're resting on the dirt here.
Is that rolling?
Yeah, we're resting here on the dirt. There's a lot of rocking. I mean, I know.
I try not to rest on that.
Huh?
I try not to rest on the mag.
Oh, okay. I can get like this much rock in the guns, just this side to side. But which target? I was hearing the hits and the rings, but I wasn't seeing the target move very much. Now that one's pretty heavy.
Yeah. I was shooting almost. I think I only shot at that one
Oh,
because it wasn't swinging so bad.
oh, kind of looks like it. Yeah. Well, look at this.
Oh, hang on. Brady.
Should FaceTime him.
He's got an Android.